What's up, guys? It's Techno Viking 23 coming to you today with a little bit of Destiny. And today we're actually going to be talking about the Iron Banner. Actually going to be recapping Iron Banner here a little bit after I get done killing Sardok, the Eye of Oryx. I'm going to introduce him to my Fellwinter's Lie. You can see the power of shotguns now are just insanely ridiculous, and even from range, take down bosses like it's nothing. So anyways, if you don't have a Fellwinter's Lie, I hope you were able, or actually I hope you were able to acquire one in the last Iron Banner, because that was one of the good benefits of the 6th Iron Banner was, I believe it was dropping Fellwinter's Lie. Could be wrong about that, but I want to say that it was. But today, guys, I'm going to try to keep this video fairly quick. I'm just running some bounties and doing a few errands here. I want to talk about Iron Banner 6 though real quick. I'll give a quick little recap of my experience this time, what I was able to accomplish, and how the overall Iron Banner went for me. Now this time I did not play on my Titan. I decided to try it out on my Warlock, so I have some mixed feelings on that, as I have hardly used my Warlock at all in PvP. Didn't like it at first. I started to warm up to it as a class in PvP towards the end of it. Just had to get used to using Blink Jump, which I'm still honestly not that used to. I keep slamming into things and running head first into walls and stuff, but Blink is actually pretty good when it does work. I did have a little bit of fun doing the Blink shotgun thing, I must admit. As much as I hate it when that happens to me, I actually had a little bit of fun using that on people and actually getting it to work. But overall, even trying a new class, I just didn't play that much this Iron Banner. I have to admit, I only played about 2 days. Actually 2 evenings with Iron Banner. I think I barely made it to rank 3 this time. And, just for whatever reason, I don't know. I think it's just that Destiny is starting to run, just the content starting to really get spread thin at this point. And we really need something kind of new in the game to do. And that's kind of what Iron Banner was for. It's a way to give you some new content to play. But just didn't feel like it did it for me this time. Now, I was able to get a couple of neat reforges on my weapons. That was probably the good benefit of it. I really wanted to reforge. I didn't get a decent roll on Fellwinter's Lie last time, so I really wanted to redo that and get a better weapon. Also, my Timur's Lash and my Yolder's Hammer were 2 other weapons I wanted to reforge. So I'm going to go over that real quick and just show you guys, even though I'm on my Titan here, I'm going to go ahead and show you my weapons, what I was able to get on Timur's Lash. Now, unfortunately, I did run out of Motes of Light again, so not the greatest perks in the world. I did get the Quick Draw IS sight to get my reload a little bit quicker, which is the one thing I don't like about this hand cannon is it just reloads so slowly. Really wanted to get Field Scout, but unfortunately did not get that. I think I re-rolled this about 6 or 7 times and just really was not getting good perk rolls on it at all. You got your upgrade damage, armor piercing rounds, which on a hand cannon aren't the greatest. Snapshot is, it's okay, it's not the greatest, but did manage to get explosive rounds. So that's at least halfway decent, and I got Third Eye, which I plan on using this weapon a lot in PvP, so that's the main reason I kept this roll on it. And then my first roll is Return to Sender, so you get bonus ammunition when you get a kill with this, which you can usually get to 2 to 3 hit kill with this weapon as long as you are accurate with it. Now, the stability does not look that great above, but it's a slower firing hand cannon, so you really can pace your shots well with it, and this is a headshot machine. If you're landing headshots with this thing, you can get a lot of really fast and quick kills with it. Now, I did have Gelling's Demise. I have this one left over from the first time they had it, and I re-rolled this last Iron Banner. Got Firefly and Hammer Forged in Who's Next, so some decent perks on that. And then my Fellwinter's Lie, I actually decided to re-roll this. I had this as an arc damage shotgun, but I wanted to get a Void secondary because I'm trying to do the Thorn bounty. And right now, the only Void weapon I had in secondary was this fusion rifle, which I haven't really used yet, and my Effort Eats Spear from the couple Iron Banners ago. Now, I had been using this to try to get kills, but it's a little bit easier if you have a shotgun or a fusion rifle. So I was really happy I was able to re-roll Fellwinter's to get it to be void damage. That's hopefully going to help me out with my Thorn bounty. Perks aren't the greatest. I do get Accurized Ballistics, which is good because it boosts the range and impact a little bit. Final round, last round deals bonus damage. Not the greatest on a shotgun since you've got to go through 6 shots to get there. Field Scout is not the greatest perk. The stability on this, I'm actually interested to see how this is going to work. I'm actually pretty happy about that. Now, unfortunately, no Hammer Forged or Shot Package. At this point, I was pretty much out of Motes of Light, so maybe I'll re-roll this again after the next Iron Banner, but I am interested to see how full auto and the stability perk play against one another. I'm hoping that's going to give this pretty good punch up close, just being able to hold down the trigger, and maybe even with Field Scout, I think that may take it up to 8 rounds if you can just dump 8 rounds with this thing really quick. We're going to find out. I'll level this up and do a little bit more in-depth review on it, but, I was pretty happy just to get the void damage. Now, I had 2 Radagast Fury from earlier. I tried to reroll. This is my good one here. This is my Void Radagast Free. This one actually has spray and play and it has tracking on it, so I've kept that one. That's like my tracking launcher since I haven't been lucky enough to get Truth or Yalahorn yet. But I had this other one and I tried to re-roll this thing and I just got the worst, just crappiest roll on this thing. In terms of you got surplus, you find more ammunition, and vacuum, so the pickup radius on ammo drops is better. And then just really awful perks here, except for Javelin. That's probably the only good perk I got in this weapon. But I kind of re-rolled that just to show you guys in an earlier video how that worked. I also re-rolled my Yolder's Hammer to void damage. I got a Rodeo, which is a really good perk for this. Hammer Forged, and then also Who's Next, increase the reload speed. But really looking forward to using this machine gun. It's already proven to be pretty good. I wish I had gotten a Field Scout or a stability upgrade on it, but unfortunately, it didn't have a lot of motes of light this time around, so I wasn't able to really do too much. Now, like I said, I played on my Warlock. I didn't even really get to rank 3 with it, so didn't buy any armor this time. It just didn't really play that much, so nothing really to show off there. Now, just going into a few quick little points here. I went over the weaponry forges I was able to get. Now, one thing I did really like about this Iron Banner in the limited time that I played it is that there was much better map selection. It seemed like the maps are rotating a lot better. They added a lot more maps in. It was really great to get Burning Shrine. I'm not a huge fan of the Anomaly. That map was in Iron Banner this time. That's just, I don't know, that's just too much close range and too many shotguns for me, quite honestly. Not a real big fan of that map. But it wasn't too bad. It was nice to have fresh maps to play. It was nice to have a map rotation where you weren't just getting stuck on Blind Watch over and over and over again, or stuck on Rusted Lands or Twilight Gap. It was nice to have more maps in the rotation. I give Bungie a little bit of credit for fixing that. That really helped Iron Banner be a bit more enjoyable, but honestly, as most things in this game have been coming along, it's kind of like too little too late. This is Iron Banner 6. Map rotation was something people have been complaining about for a long time. It probably should have been implemented a few Iron Banners ago just to make it more enjoyable. On to some of the bad things. The lag is still a huge issue. It was just as bad as Iron Banner 5, which was when lag really seemed to start to creep its ugly head into the game. Lots of rubber banding. I had several times where I'd put 3 to 4 shotgun blasts into a guy at point blank range. He'd take no damage. He'd rubber band back, and then I'd be dead instantly. Or same thing would happen. I'd shoot a guy 3 or 4 times with a shotgun. Nothing would seem to happen, and then 30 seconds later, I'd get the notification that I killed the guy. So, really, lag is starting to become a problem in Iron Banner and in the Crucible. I haven't noticed as much in the Crucible. That's the weird thing. It's mostly just been in Iron Banner, so maybe it's just the peer-to-peer connection thing is there's more people playing with worse connections. I don't know. But yeah, that's not really something that's been a good thing. Matchmaking is still something I'm gonna complain about this until the sun comes up. I definitely want them to do some kind of skill-based matchmaking, like they have or used to have when they were running Halo. I'm just so tired of, and I'm not the best PvP player, as I say all the time, but I'm at the point now where I'm a positive KD. I used to be really bad, and I worked really hard to get better at PvP. And if I'm going positive, I expect at least a couple other people on my team to be able to go positive. If I'm going like 1.2, 1.3, and I'm carrying the team, then we're in trouble. There should be at least a few people that can go positive. But what happened to me, this Iron Banner I noticed, was that I would have some decent games. I even had a couple games, like I usually do, where I go above 2.0, sometimes even 3.0, and just play really well. But the problem was I would get paired. Every time I had a good game, it seemed, I would get paired up with a whole team of guys who it didn't seem like anybody could go over 0.5. Which at that point, I understand a lot of people are just playing to get the gear who can't do the raid, but it just seems really aggravating that you get paired up with these people who just have no clue what they're doing in PvP and Destiny. And that happened to me a lot. The teams are just so lopsided. You just get absolutely destroyed match after match. The score is 20,000 to 10,000 or 20,000 to 12,000. You're just getting smashed, and you can tell right away. Usually 3 to 4 minutes in the game, you can tell that your team is just getting destroyed. You look down, it's kind of funny. You start the match off, and you're actually playing well. I had a few matches where I started off with a couple of nice little 5 kill streak, which for me is pretty good. And then I look up at the scoreboard thinking, oh, I'm doing well. We got to be doing pretty good as a team. And I look at the scoreboard and we're already down by like 4,000 points. And it's just kind of demoralizing because at that point you're like, well, the only reason I'm really playing here is to get a medallion of iron, which is hopefully going to be able to, I can trade it in for something, or the hope that you'll get a decent drop in Iron Banner. Didn't really see any good drops this time. A lot of ships that seemed were dropping after rank 3. I didn't get any weapons myself personally, and saw a couple people get a few Iron Banner weapons, but overall seemed the drop rate was pretty poor, just like last Iron Banner. So, but yeah, the matchmaking, my God, it's just they've got to do something about it. They have to put some kind of ranking or skill system in. I don't know, maybe base it on your combat rating. There's got to be something they can do to pair up the teams better and pair you up with players that are in your skill level, so that the people that are going .75 and .50, every single match can play with each other and grind their gear that way. While some of the better players, and like I said, I'm not going to say I'm one of those better players, but if I'm going, if I'm able to go between 1.0 1.5 with pretty much fairly consistent play, I want to play with other people that are in my level, who are able to play at that same level, and that way the teams are better matched, and it's not such a freaking lopsided, score at the end. It reminds me a lot of what Call of Duty was turning into when I quit playing the game. It's like you get put into these matches, like mid-match, and your team's down by 8,000 points, and you have no chance to come back. Or if you're playing team deathmatch, you're constantly losing 7,500 to 4,000. It's like, and then the lag will switch over to the other team, and you'll win 7,500 to 4,000. And then the next match it switches back over, and your team loses by 3,000 points. It's just that's kind of like what Iron Banner has become for me. You go 5-6 matches without a win, and it just really gets kind of frustrating. So that's one thing I hope they really do address for the game in the future, is just Iron Banner needs more, just more better matchmaking. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump off before I keep harping on that topic and get toward the end here. I guess what I'm going to talk about now is just the weapon balance now in the game. It's completely changed. That's pretty obvious. If you play this Iron Banner, everybody and their brother was using a Red Death. I just cannot imagine how many times I got killed by Red Death. I actually didn't use it much because I just got tired of being killed by it. I wanted to see some variety, so I used bad juju here and there, and still use my Suros regime now and then. But overall, it was just a Red Death fest. And Red Death now, to me, and to a lot of other people I've seen comment on this, is now like the new Suros regime. When it first came out and Zur had it, it's like everybody used it in the Crucible, and it totally took over Crucible. And it's what brought about the eventual downfall of the auto rifles, in terms of auto rifles getting nerfed through the nose. Now, pulse rifles are now the best, one of the better weapons in the game, I would say. There's lots of different pulse rifles that do really, really good work in the Crucible, especially since that patch. You're looking at a 10% damage buff across the board. So it was really just a ton of Red Death, and when it wasn't Red Death, it was Thorn. And, apparently they did the little hand cannon nerf. It apparently didn't do anything to Thorn. From what I've read and from what I've heard, and even, I'm an Xbox player, but the guys on Sony are now saying that they consider Thorn somewhat to be better than Hawkmoon, which to me, that used to be blasphemy, that anything was better than Hawkmoon. But apparently Thorn is, it's a 2-hit kill from pretty much anywhere on the map still, and can get very frustrating if you're stuck in that, and if you keep getting killed by it. But those are the two primary weapons I saw most of the time, Thorn and Red Death. Now, it was kind of nice not to see Vex Mythoclast over and over and over again, but they've really, I think, nerfed the heck out of that weapon, and I really do feel kind of sorry for the people that use it. It's, it's not fair to go through the raid on hard mode and just, grind and grind and grind to get one of the better weapons in the game, and then they've completely nerfed it, hit it with a nerf bat really, really hard, so that's unfortunate. So yeah, weapon balance, and this is the problem I really have with the way Bungie does their weapon balance. They don't base it at all on what's a good weapon, what's a bad weapon. They base it on who's using what weapon in terms of the population of the game. So, everybody was using auto rifles, so what do? They nerfed auto rifles. No one was using pulse rifles. What do? They buffed pulse rifles through the nose, so now pulse rifles are like one of the only good options. What they don't realize is that's not promoting weapon balance, that's just promoting flavor of the month type builds and flavor of the month type weapons. So what's going to happen with the next patch, they're going to look at their statistics. People are still using auto rifles, for a decent amount of people are. But now everybody's using pulse rifles. So what are they going to say now? Oh, everybody's using pulse rifles, we have to nerf pulse rifles again? And they're going to see that no one's using scout rifles because, people may use scout rifles, and I use them a bunch, but I hardly ever get killed by scout rifles. I don't see anyone using scout rifles, and obviously that's just my experience. But I think that's, I play quite a bit of PvP, and that's just what I've noticed. So what are they going to do next patch? Just give scout rifles a huge buff and make them one-hit killing machines from all over the map, and then everybody's going to use scout rifles? That's not how it works, and that's really something I think they need to improve on, along with a lot of other things. Is just how they balance the weapons in the game. It shouldn't be that one weapon is a clear-cut better weapon than all the rest. What should happen is you should have a good choice of lots of different weapons. And that's one of the things I really enjoyed about Battlefield, was you had a huge number of weapons, and every weapon had its strengths and weaknesses. Every weapon had a different recoil pattern. Every weapon just had a different characteristic that made it good in the right hands with different playstyles. Destiny, it's just like, okay, we're just going to use pulse rifles this month. And then when they buff the scout rifles, we use scout rifles. There's really not a lot of weapon variety to fit different playstyles. And the maps do play into that a little bit. Most of the maps are mid-range, close quarters, so you're going to see a lot of shotguns and a lot of close quarters weapons. But that's pretty much what I noticed, is their way they balance weapons to me just does not work. You should have weapons for all skill levels. The auto rifles, I feel, should have been left as they were. Your lesser skilled, less accurate players could use those and be very competitive. And if your more skilled players didn't want to use those, they could use a scout rifle or a pulse rifle and do a lot better with those burst weapons. That's kind of, and I hate to give Call of Duty any credit, but that's one of the things Call of Duty I thought did very well. You had your weapons like the Fall and the oh god, I think it's the Mark 48 or the MK48, whatever it was. You had your Type 95. You had your 3-round burst weapons. You had your single shot weapons, which were very powerful, but you had to be accurate with them. And then you had your high rate of fire weapons that weren't for the more less accurate players, like the ACR and weapons like that. Scar H, which would allow people to be competitive even if they weren't the most accurate shot in the game. And that's what I think Destiny needs. You need to see a much better variety of weapons, a much better variety of play styles, and I think that would encourage it if instead of just them buffing what weapon isn't good and then nerfing the other weapons through the roof, just make all the weapons good. It's like the exotics. The exotics are the same way. There's just so many bad exotics in this game, and an exotic, for the work you have to do, especially on the bounties to get some of them, it's just not worth it. It's like, it's not worth the grind. It's not worth all the work you have to do to try to get the weapons. So the game just in general needs much better weapon balancing, I think, across the board. And that was one thing I really did notice about this Iron Banner. And finally, I'm going to get to my last point, because I'm rambling on here. I want to wrap this up pretty quick. But, this Iron Banner, like I said, just really, really bored. Didn't really want to do a whole lot with it. So I think a lot of people are in that boat. And I think what Iron Banner really needs is some kind of revamp. Now, I know we've been hearing about the Trials of Osiris forever, and it's like, is it going to come out? I think they're probably holding on to it till House of Wolves gets close to kind of tantalize people and tempt them to keep playing, or maybe it's going to come out with House of Wolves so it'll entice people to buy the DLC, which I really hope is not the case. But I just, who knows if we're ever going to see that. But I think something like that would be great right about now, because we're running out of content. Iron Banner has been the same forever. They've made little changes here and there, like with the bounty now for all the primary weapons, the map, making the maps a little bit better. But overall, it's been the same Iron Banner. You've got the same shaders, the same class item. It's the same gear for the most part. The weapons, this is the second or third time you could get the scout rifle would drop. And, Yolder's Hammer's been out before. The weapons, Felwinter's Lie is really the only weapon that hadn't been featured too much. But, it just needs something. I think it needs better bounties across the board. Personally, and like I said, this may copy Trials of Osiris a bit, but I think they should do some kind of exotic bounty for an exotic weapon and an exotic piece of armor that you can only get in the Iron Banner. And don't make it impossible to get it. Make it so that anybody who plays long enough and really works at it can get it. But make it like a multi-stage bounty. Like, let's say you have to get 100 kills with auto rifles and 100 kills with hand. Let's just say you have to get like 100 kills with every type of weapon. And I'm just throwing ideas out there, but make it a multi-stage bounty. And then after that, you got to get like 50 headshots with I don't know, machine guns or something. Just make it difficult, not difficult, but make it hard enough so that it's a challenge and it's worth the weapon that you get or the piece of armor that you get. I think something like that would be really cool. And I don't know, they'd have to do it so it wasn't RNG. You'd be able to pick up that bounty somehow, maybe after you reach a certain rank or after you reach a certain number of kills or do enough Iron Banner bounties. I don't know, but just something, it needs something there. I'd maybe even do some new shaders. How about an exotic shader? That's something I would really love to see in this game, is an exotic shader, because I'm so tired of having really cool looking armor like my insurmountable skull fort, or even my armamentarium, where it's like I have a really great looking shader. Like here, I'll just show you right here. So I'm using the sun setting shader, which I love. It's one of my favorite shaders. Now, if I throw on a different pair of gauntlets here, still looks pretty good. It looks great with my legendary gear. But the minute I put my armamentarium on, I mean, it just looks terrible. It looks so out of place. It's this green camouflage color with this black and orange shader, and that's something that drives me nuts about the exotic armor. It's like Insurmountable Skull Fort. It's a great looking helmet, but it's always gray. You can only use like Thunder Devil and a couple other shaders with it, or else it looks like crap. Glass House, I mean, it's a great helm. Looks like crap. Helm of Saint 14 is like gray colors. There's really not a whole lot of shaders that go with it. So put an exotic shader in. Maybe put that in Iron Banner. We can get an exotic shader that affects all the armor pieces and not just the legendary stuff. So that's pretty much it. And the last thing I'd like to see in Iron Banner to change it up is to rotate the game mode, because I'm sick and tired of control at this point. Now, I know that may be tough for them because it's 6 versus 6, but maybe they could put some kind of 6v6 Inferno mode in there that's more like a skirmish or a rumble or something. I just don't want it to be control every single time. Maybe it can be control like the first match, then they can move it over to like a 6v6 skirmish and just change the game type up like every match. That would really add a ton of variety. It would entice more people to play, and I think it would keep more people playing overall. But that's pretty much it, guys. Iron Banner 6, for me was just not really a mixed bag. It was just kind of boring and didn't really want to play it that much. And it'll be interesting to see what they do, if when House of Wolves is coming out, if they're going to do another Iron Banner, if they're going to give us Trials of Osiris, if they're going to do any more weapon patches, who knows. But as of right now, the way it stands, Iron Banner 7, I'm sure will be out next month, and quite honestly, right now, I don't know if I'll even bother playing. The only reason I would play at this point is to get the Iron Banner Pulse Rifle. That and the Fusion Rifle, I think, are the only two weapons that I don't have in Iron Banner, so that's really the only incentive I have left to do it, unless I really want to grind one of my other characters to 32. Anyways, guys, that's pretty much going to be it. I've been Techno Viking 23 here. Let me know in the comments below if you played this Iron Banner, if you enjoyed it, how you did, if you've got any cool drops, if you've got any cool weapons or exotics or anything at all out of it. But anyways, guys, Techno Viking 23, I'm going to sign off here from the Cosmodrome, and I will see you again next time.